Hello, everyone. Hello. Well, our sugar challenge, no sugar challenge, should I call it, is coming. The 7 days is about to approach. And I want you to know what we're doing next week, starting Monday. No starches. No starches. So we're going to add that to what we're not doing. We're not eating sugar. We're not adding sugar to anything. We're not having sweet drinks. No sodas or pops from where I come from. No juice. No sweet teas. None of that. We're having coffee, tea, water. That's our drink. And then we're doing no starches. So no cakes, no potatoes, no rice, no breads, no pastas. Trying to think of what else I'm down to. I just don't have it. I don't buy it, so I don't have it. So I am not tempted. And if you don't buy it, then you're good. Okay, now there has been a conversation going on in our keto group about the sweeteners. And I wasn't going to tell you about sweeteners yet, but it is really going, so we've got to talk about sweeteners. I wanted you to take all the sugar out of your body first before you even attempted to deal with the sweetener. And there are a lot of sweeteners out there that we need to be careful of. I'm just going to tell you what you can use and it not spike your glucose, because that's what we're concerned about, our glucose spiking. Every time you eat anything, insulin is released. Every time you eat. And when you eat glucose, it is released. Now, when you become, insulin resistance, it's like your natural insulin receptors, the ones that receive, they don't see it anymore. So then you end up going to the doctor and they give you end up shooting insulin. So it'll be more for your receptors to see. But if you stop eating so much sweet, your receptors will soon begin to see the insulin that you're producing. That's insulin resistance. That means you still make insulin, but your cells are just not receiving or not seeing your insulin. You end up going to the doctor and getting more, and then they become like insulin resistant to that to some extent, and they will increase your insulin. But every time you eat, insulin is released, and it holds on to the glucose. It becomes fat. It's stored as fat. And then if you are not active, you don't burn that. And guess what you end up doing again? You end up eating some more glucose or whatever, and the insulin is released. And if you don't burn that off, now you might burn some off cleaning the house or doing your job, but you're not really burning what you're consuming. And so you'll end up eating more, and insulin is released, and then you're eating more, insulin is released, and just creating fat. So what I want us to do is release the smallest amount of insulin as possible. So that means when you eat a meal, don't eat in between. Don't eat until you eat your next meal. And so we've got to become disciplined to that. But anyway, the sweeteners that you can have, stevia. Stevia, I'm not a fan of that, but you can have it. It won't spike your sugar. And stevia with monk fruit, that's okay. Then there's monk fruit. I like monk fruit. I said no sugars for 7 days. I did no sugars. I want you all to know that. No sugars, even though I had monk fruit. Monk fruit does not spike your glucose. Does not spike it. Nope. But monk fruit does. It reads like regular sugar. It's 4 grams of sugar alcohol, and it's 4 grams of sugar in the regular sugar is 4 grams. So you got to count your carbs on this one. So 2 teaspoons, that's 8 grams. If you're doing 20 grams of 20 grams of carbs a day, you cannot eat a lot of monk fruit. There's stevia, nothing, zero. There is another one called Swerve or Erythritol. Erythritol is another one that I use. I had a bag of Erythritol. My husband took it to work. I have monk fruit, and I have some Stevia somewhere around here. But I like monk fruit better than I like Stevia. So those are the three I use. And then I read something that's called Allulose. It doesn't spike your glucose either. Now, I have not tried that, but I believe it because I heard it from a couple of doctors. So Allulose, Stevia, Erythritol, and monk fruit. These are some sweeteners that you can use. But again, make sure you are watching out for carbs. Because if you use this, I'm going to show you right here. Can I get it up here? Where is it? Where is it? 4 carbs. And we are trying to we're trying to keep our carbs as low as possible. Oh, I can't get a good shot of that. But anyway, we're trying to keep our carbs as low as possible. 20 carbs a day. That's what we want to do if you are doing the keto straight out. 20 carbs a day. If you do 20 carbs a day, and I don't do the net thing. I'm not subtracting fiber from carbs. When I see carb, that's what I'm doing. Now, if you want to subtract, okay. But it's 20 carbs a day. And that's what we're going to do. And you're going to lose weight. I hope you have taken your measurement for the first week. And we are going to, our weigh-in day, we're off. But our weigh-in day is going to be Monday. You're going to take your weight. And you don't have to post your weight. Just post your weight loss or your inches that you've lost, okay? You don't have to post your weight until you feel free enough to do that. And when you feel free enough to do it, I know you're gonna post it. But sugars. Be careful of the sweeteners that you use. Again, Stevia. It does not raise your glucose. Monk fruit. Erythritol, and I get erythritol in the form of something called Swerve. And allulose, I've never used that. Now, monk fruit and Swerve are kind of on the expensive side. Stevia is a little more reasonable. But like I told you, I don't like Stevia. Well, I'll mix it. I'll mix it with some monk fruit, or I'll mix it with some Swerve. But that's what we're doing as far as sweeteners. What are we giving up this week? For those of you who are doing it, going into keto slowly, next week we're going to be into keto. So this week, starches. You're giving up your starches. You're giving up bread, pasta, potatoes, rice, sweet potatoes, white potatoes. You're giving that up. And any other form of starch that you can think of. What's that stuff? Couscous. Another grain. Oh, I was about to say this because I'm taking some of this to my daughter in California. But anyway, any grain, any starch, we're not going to eat that this week. So no sweets. No starch. For those of you who got to have some sweet, monk fruit, this is the brand I use, Stevia, and Swerve, which is erythritol. Those will not spike your glucose. Make sure if you don't have a meter, I do have a meter, so I take my blood and I take my ketones. If you don't have a meter, your scale and your tape measure will work well for you, okay? Count your carbs. Count your carbs if you're into keto, and just give up the starch and the sweeteners if you're doing it 1 week at a time. Next week again, we will be in total keto. Everyone will be. Thank you so much. If you know somebody that you think would like to be part of Karen's Keto Krew or K3, just invite them to become a part of our group. Thank you so much. We want to keep these temples healthy. God gave us these temples. We only get them one time. Come on. And so we want to do what He has appointed. He has an appointed plan for us. And for us to live the appointed plan, we have to have healthy bodies. We've got to be able to get around. Now, it's going to take discipline. Don't carelessly do it, or don't say, I can't do it. Because again, you can't do it. But with the grace of God, and He will give you the grace to do it. He will give you the grace to do it. He is right here with us. He won't fail us or forsake us. He will help you do it. You can do exceeding abundantly above all that you ask or think, but it's according to the power that works in you. So come on, the power of God is in you. You can live your best life. Trust God.